Hello, my name is Xander from Terrytown, and welcome to your Jayco 224BH. Going to start right up front here with your light, just in case you do need to hook up at night. Just next to it, you have your retract and extend for your power tongue jack here. And since this is electric, if it ever electrically goes out, you can peel this little black tab off behind it, insert a tool, and then you're able to crank this up or down, so it's just a manual override right behind there. Just behind your power tongue jack, you're going to have your two propane tanks. You're gonna have a reader telling you if there's propane going through it right here, and then you can choose to supply with this switch here. So if you move it to this side, the arrow is pointing this way, you're using this propane tank, but if you flip it the other way, you're using this one. So for example, I'm just gonna show you what I turns on. There we go, just need a little boost. But you see how it turns green? That means there's propane going through it. Once it turns red, then that means it's out. Moving on, storage, and then your stabilizers. I'll get to your stabilizer jacks on the other side, more in depth. Coming over here, you're going to have your green cap, which indicates that your tires are going to be filled with nitrogen rather than regular air. You are able to fill it with regular air. It's not going to inflate or deflate with temperature change, so you're able to put anything else inside. Here's your outside shower, containing inside of here is just going to be a hot side, cold side of the faucet, and you're going to have your shower head and hose. It's all going to be inside of here. You just need to put your key to unlock it. City water connection, so when you get to a campground, this is what you're going to want to plug into for your water supply. Coming down to your sewer system here, this is going to be your gray tank pull on the left side, and then your black tank pull on the right side. Your black tank is going to be your toilet situation, so any toilet activities go down this side. But I do recommend doing the black tank first, just because there's going to be solids involved. So going along with that, open the black tank, you just pull it, it's going to drain out of here. Once it's done draining, leave that open and come up to this. This is your black tank flush. You just stick a pressurized hose inside of that, and then that activates a sprinkler inside the black tank, which helps kind of flush any solids that may have gotten stuck out. Once you're done with that, go ahead and take the hose off, close the black tank, and then I recommend doing the gray tank last, just because it's the cleanest water out of the two. So it's just gonna help kind of give you one last little flush before you go ahead and put your hands back on there. And then just up on the top left here, that's gonna be your low point drains. So both hot and cold side. If you open those up, just twist those little knobs, and then that will then drain the lowest points on both of your lines. Cable satellite input here. There we go. On the back, you're gonna have your camp power or shore power here. Backup camera prep. And then your water heater. For your water heater, you just take this little cap, insert it on top of this little spout here, but make sure it's nice and tight. I just kind of set it on there just for a visual. But once you have that down nice and tight, go to the inside of your camper, turn on the hot side of your faucet, and it's going to sputter for a little bit, but that's just all the air getting completely pushed out of your tank here. Once you have a steady flow of water coming out of your hot side of your faucet, you can go ahead and turn this on, use it whenever, do whatever you need to do. When it comes time to empty it, you just pull the pressure release valve, make sure it's straight. It's gonna hiss. Once it's done hissing, go ahead, take your socket, so 1 1/16, pull this off, and then it's just going to drain right out of that little spout. Once it's done draining, go ahead, push that down, and close it right back up. Moving along to this side, just going to be your sink and your refrigerator outside. This is the back of your indoor refrigerator, just in case you ever need to access it. Down here, this is your furnace exhaust. So when your furnace is on, all the excess heat is going to kick out of here. So what I do recommend is if you have little kids, something in the area that doesn't know what this does, just make sure to let them know, don't touch this because it will get burned. Moving on, this is your fresh tank. So it's just gonna be a little gravity fill. This is mainly if you don't have your city water connection, so if you're going rustic camping, you can go ahead, fill this up beforehand, and then you're good to go. For example, go to a national park, you fill up just outside, go in, and then you flip on your water pump to take water from this and kind of push it through your lines. And then the low point drain or the flush behind it is going to be right there. You just twist that little nozzle and then it's going to drain out the rest of the water from there. Here's the mount for your outside TV, cable satellite, and then 110 outlets there, just in case you do decide to put that TV outside. Moving on to your steps. Make sure your door is completely open. So you can just lift this up, put this inside. Make sure this little white piece is behind the frame so it doesn't move or anything. Oh. There we go, so it doesn't move. To move your legs, all you do is press down on this and then move this up or down. Otherwise, to take it out, you just pull the blue tab, pull your stairs, and let them down. One little key thing is make sure you are flush on both sides. Otherwise, when you do go to slam your door, it will ruin the bottom of it if it's lifted up a little bit. So just a forewarning. Otherwise, on top of your awning, there's gonna be a little black tab right there. That black tab, if you peel that up and insert, I believe it's a 10 millimeter. Yep, so it's a 10 millimeter socket. Put that inside there. You can bring that back in or out just in case your awning ever electrically goes out. And then moving on, this is going to be your hitch setup, which your salesman will go over with you. But just some of the basics in your starter pack. Use your stabilizer crank. Stick that on there and start cranking. This is also for your power tongue jack if that ever electrically goes out. It's going to be the same tool as this. Otherwise, for your starter pack, you're going to have your sewer hose. Your 25-foot drinking hose, and then here is your 110 adapter, so you can plug this camper into your house. Worst case, let's say you need to start cooling your fridges or something before you leave for the campground, you can go ahead, stick this in your house, and then start to cool those fridges. Also, if you do decide to get that rear backup camera, it comes with side cameras as well, so you can get that nice side view. Moving inside, you're gonna have your lights here. This is gonna be your indoor switch, which you can also toggle through the little button right in the middle. And then outdoor lights, aka your awning. And then just below is gonna be your readers, so your battery reader, fresh tank, black tank, and gray tank readers. And you're gonna have your water pump. So like I mentioned before, for your fresh tank, flip this pump on, it's gonna start to suck water. And then you have two elements to your water heater, gas and electric. If you're out in the middle of nowhere, go ahead and use gas. If you're hooked up, I do recommend using electric, just so you don't waste your propane. But otherwise, if you don't really care about your propane, you can go ahead and do both at the same time and get the maximum efficiency for how hot your water gets. For your awning, the one thing that you're gonna need to know for this is when it's fully extended, you'll see the little extra flap kind of come down, and then you'll see the black bar sitting on behind it. Once you see that, do not keep going because it will reel on the opposite way and end up breaking. So there's the excess flap, and there's the back of your awning. To pitch it for the rain, all you need to do is grab this, pull down, and then it's going to lean to one side, help get all that water out of there. And then when you're done, just go ahead, push it right back up before you reel back in. Moving on, here are your keys. The silver ones are going to be for your main doors and your baggage doors. And these black ones are going to be for your outside shower. You just have 2 pairs of each. And let's get that back on. That's that. Moving on, microwave. Light and fan. Moving on to your oven and stove here. If you lift that up, turn on the lights. If you press and turn, that's when you know your gas is being released because you can see the red. Otherwise you spark to the right and it ignites. So for that, you always want to spark to the right. There's even arrows telling you to, because if you don't and turn to the left, it could snap off. So once again, push, turn, and ignite. So for your oven, it's going to be a little bit harder. So you see that little silver piece right in the back. That's going to ignite. So what I mean by that is you press, turn to the pilot symbol. You can see a little flame there. That's going to start releasing gas, and then you're going to sit there and spark until you see the little flame appear in the back, right on that gray piece that I just showed you. And then this, once the flame appears, then go ahead and adjust to your desired temperature. But also, just a forewarning, don't be alarmed if it doesn't light right away, just because there's not enough gas pushed through the system yet. So it could take 2 tries, could take 20 tries. Just be patient with it and know that's not going to light right away. Just below it here, you're gonna have your breakers and your fuses. I do recommend bringing extra fuses, but that's just a personal recommendation. If you do decide to bring some, you can pick those up at any auto parts store, so like an AutoZone, for example. For your fridge, when you turn it on, you can just move it to auto. It'll turn on. If it doesn't have a steady electric power, then it'll go to gas, or you can just switch it to gas right off the bat. So for example, I just recommend keeping it on auto because it's just going to use the most powerful source. So right now it's of course the electric because we're plugged into shore power, but if you're not, it could switch to gas on its own. Let's move that to off. But right here, the higher the number, the coldest it gets. So if you want it somewhat cool, go ahead and do 1. If you want it as cold as it gets, move it to 5. Otherwise, freezer and fridge. Once again, for these lights back here, just press the button in the middle and then they'll turn on. For your bathroom, your toilet is going to be just a foot flush. You just use your foot to flush it down. You're going to need 2 things. One is going to be toilet solution. That just helps kind of break down solids and smells. And then the RV grade toilet paper, that's going to help break down easier so it doesn't end up clogging your lines on the way out. Otherwise, light for the inside. And then last thing is for this, you just pull down, move it, make sure the teeth are in, if that makes sense, in the little grates. And then turn on, you just flip the switch there. As you pull out, move it, make sure the teeth are in, and then you're all set. For your thermostat, there's no buttons or anything, you just kind of tap. There's fan, cool, which is going to be your AC, and then furnace, which is going to be your heat. You can't see it, but the logos kind of pop up. It's kind of hard to move with this gimbal. But to move your temperature, just tap up or down with these arrows, and then it'll switch to whatever you need it to be. For your stereo, you just tap to turn on. Tap through here to do your equalizer, volume. Oh, there we go. Volume, twist this around. To choose stations, you go back and forth between this. So try to connect to Bluetooth right now, which is this button right here. You would just open this up, connect it to your phone and whatnot. But otherwise, you have zone 1, inside speakers, zone 2, outside speakers, mute, tap top right. Otherwise, once again, Bluetooth, AM, FM, aux, pause and play, and then you have your HDMI and USB here. And turn off, you just hold, we'll say standby, and it turns off. Inside mount, along with inside 110 outlets, along with the inputs here. To switch between cable and satellite, you just press that button there. Otherwise, you got storage underneath the bed. And that's kind of, oh, one last thing. This is gonna be your carbon monoxide detector. So obviously all of your carbon monoxide is gonna be read through here. Or sorry, if there's any carbon monoxide, it's going to get read through this, and then of course this is gonna go off. But it has a little green light that never shuts off as a safety feature because this is always running. So what I do recommend is if you're gonna leave your camper for about 3 to 4 days, or just gonna store it for the winter, I recommend either A, taking the negative end off of your battery, or B, just going ahead and taking your whole battery out and either putting it in a basement or a heated garage. And now the real last thing is your AC vents. So if you want just a dump of AC or straight out here, leave these open. AC can flow through these vents. But if you want it throughout the camper, close that and then start to open these up and kind of point these in the direction you want it to go. And then your AC is going to then flow throughout your camper. Otherwise, that has been your orientation. If you do have any other questions, feel free to write them down and take them in with you. Otherwise, enjoy.